So it's been about 6 months since we last spoke on camera. How have things been going with your daughter's epilepsy and her treatment?
So, if I recall correctly, the last thing I spoke to you guys about on your channel was getting an EEG done to see if what things were going on in her eyes were actually seizures or not. If you've been on my channel, I do update from time to time, and you'd be able to see that they were actually indeed seizures. So those eye movements that we were thinking could be tics were actually epileptic activity, which is unfortunate. And then after we got the report from the doctor, they told us at that point, our main neurologist, is that she was having seizures on the right hemisphere, which is extremely concerning because if you're following our story, the left hemisphere was the part of the brain that had the malformation. So if that was the original area that had the malformation and then the right side also has a problem, it's like you're screwed. When I heard that news, I was absolutely devastated. Time went on from that, and they got more information from the study to actually show that seizures were starting from the left side and somehow propagating to go to the right side. It turns out from the third surgery, when they did a TPO disconnection, they actually missed a part. So that was a huge relief, being that, okay, here's something that we can address. You know, it sucks that they made a mistake, but I mean, I guess they don't call it brain surgery for nothing. So we were on a fast track again to surgery. They saw the part that they missed, and on May 17th was her surgery, and she had a laser ablation to burn the rest of the connective tissue from the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere within the temporal, occipital, and parietal lobes. And then after that surgery, 18 hours after that surgery, she had a seizure. And then 48 hours after the surgery was complete, she had another cluster. But here's the thing, they stopped since then. So we're like close to, the 20th? I think, was the last time she had a seizure, and then there's been nothing. And she was having about 5 or 6 clusters every day, 4, 5, 6 clusters every day, nothing. You know, I'm not going to jump for joy yet because we've been down this road too many times, but it's a good sign. And when we talked to the surgeon, they said this can happen. Even people who have brain surgery that's not addressing epilepsy, they can have seizures after the surgery. And also, her brain has learned to be epileptic. It was too active. So you need time for it to let it calm down. There's inflammation, there's irritation. And he said that any seizures post 1 month after surgery, they don't count whatsoever as being as a sign that the surgery has failed. We talked to our neurologist, and she was like, though I'm not as confident about it, we're just going to hope that this continues. So that's where we are. They've stopped so far, and we just hope that this trend continues for the rest of her life.
Well, congratulations. That's such a major change since the last time we talked. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is a major change, and we're just kind of enjoying the time of not seeing our daughter have a seizure. So just hoping and praying that continues.
So what's it like watching your literal child daughter go through the most delicate type of operation a human can have?
Well, I mean, this is the fourth one, so it gets easier, I guess, as time goes on. Unfortunately, you kind of get numb to it. And actually, for this surgery, it's considered minimally invasive because, if you can kind of picture this, the hole that they make is the size of a pin, and then they insert a catheter inside the brain tissue. So the actual opening up of the skull, that's not something they did during this operation. But still, emotionally, it's extremely, like I said, we've been through 4 times and we have gotten numb to it. But there's different things that we worry about each time. The first one was, being the first surgery. It's like, how can this happen? Second surgery was like, well, why is this still continuing? The first one didn't work. Third surgery is just like, again, why isn't this working? And now you're telling me like there might be problems with the front part of the left brain. That was a major issue for the third surgery. And the fourth surgery was just like, we're so tired of this shit that
Yeah.
like I said, you become numb to it. Of course, like, we're stressed, especially because the seizure cluster happened like 18 hours after the operation, which was a huge gut punch. Like, why the hell are we even doing this? And then also the recovery wasn't as smooth as I would have hoped it was. The third surgery was actually a lot smoother, but we were only in the hospital for a total of on Tuesday. We got in there at like 5 o'clock in the morning because that's when they asked us to be in there. And then we were there for the night. And then we actually left the next day because she was fine in terms of health-wise. She had to be on steroids for inflammation, so she's very angry and fussy. And then anyone who comes in with scrubs, she's literally like giving them, like the nurses, her hands. She wants to take like the IV out, and it's just like, we can't, honey, sorry. It's like you want to do everything to protect your child, and then if things aren't going right, you get easily frustrated. And there was a situation where I was almost thrown out of the hospital because people weren't doing their job right, and they have to wait, like she's in NICU after the surgery. They have to wake her up like every 2 hours to check for blood pressure. And then like they did something wrong with they called an art line. So like her monitor kept beeping like every 30 seconds. It was going off an alarm. And then there's a part on the monitor, like you can silence it. It's like they told us like, hey, we did this wrong. We didn't do it right. So it's going to keep going off. But, she's fine. So there's a button on the monitor which allows you to silence it because, I'm trying to let my daughter sleep, but I can't let her sleep. This thing's fucking blaring an alarm every 30 seconds. So I'm silencing it, and they're like, you can never touch this. If you touch this again, I'm going to have security escort you out of the building. I'm just like, well, your nurse staff is just like sitting outside and playing on their phone. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to touch your equipment because I don't know anything about it. But, you're not letting my daughter sleep. And then she just got out of her surgery. So, I just, took a step back and deep breath and try to let cooler heads prevail and just like, what? It ain't worth it. Just, I'm going to press this button every single time and call you guys if that's what you want me to do. I'm never going to touch your thing again. So, it's stressful, but going back to your original question, I don't want to say it gets easier. You just get numb to the pain, I guess.
I will say this, although every good father obviously is willing to do these things in theory for their child, you've actually gone through like the hell of seeing your kid go through the most delicate and intense and painful things that a child can go through medically. And you've just like handled it so well. I remember in our first video, you talked about the ways that you've worked to make this happen. And that's just so much devotion. And I'm sure that she will be incredibly proud to one day see this in the previous video and see how much her father really, really cared.
I really hope so, because she's sassy as fuck right now. She's really attached to her mom. She's really attached to the mom, and I kind of get the chopped liver treatment, so I hope that's the case. But I don't, praise is not something I feel like I deserve. It's not anything, because I really feel like if anyone's kid was going through this, I feel like if you're decent, like you don't have to be a godlike figure to be like, I need to do everything to take care of my child.
Right.
But I just feel like I don't deserve any sort of praise for anything that I did.
It may be normal, but it's also still outstanding how well you've handled it. Like, this is the kind of thing that everyone would...
I'm broken, man.
I know, and
I'm broken.
Even though it's obviously hurt you greatly, of course it has. You've kept going. I haven't seen you snap. I'm sure you have, but you haven't tried to hurt anyone. You've done an amazing job of just keeping your eyes on what you need to do.
It's just like, I feel like if I had done anything, foolish, leave my wife alone or something, if I did something extremely, stupid, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't have all that weight beyond just her, and then I need to help where I can. It's a sense of responsibility that's keeping me going.
And that's the special part. You feel the responsibility. Not every father has that. A lot of them don't. I've talked to people on this channel who have had fathers that would not do what you've done.
Fair enough. Like I said, it might make me decent, but I don't think I'm anything to aspire to. So, of course, I deal with issues of self-worth too, so it's hard to hear praise coming from someone. So that's how it is.
Well, I'm going to give it to you nonetheless. And thank you for talking with me again. I'm so glad things are doing better now.
Yeah, it's a big relief to me and the family. Just hoping things like that continue.
Yeah, I do as well.
Tell me a story, I want to hear it. You might think it's boring, but I'm interested. Tell me a story, I want to hear it. You might think it's boring, but I'm interested.